and we have a bunch of people here, so let's get started. All lines have been muted, but that doesn't mean you're permanently banned. If you want to unmute and say, have a comment, I want this to be interactive and learning and fun, so that's most important thing. But we do have a jam-packed schedule, so you're muted, but as we move along, if there's questions, put them in the chat box, and let's start. So welcome to our webinar today entitled P3iD Cloud Capture Solutions, featuring Xerox Scanners, Visioneer software, and Docsumo document processing. This is being recorded, just so everybody knows. There will be a recording. If you want to also review that recording after this, we'll send out an email with the recording, or anybody that couldn't attend, it will be available for them. Okay, so first things first, so let's introduce, I want to introduce myself and then also our presenters and co-hosts. So from the P3iD side, we do have Ed Stevens. He's on the phone here, and he will be moderating in the chat box. So I do encourage chatting with other people and asking questions or making comments in the chat. He'll monitor that while I'm presenting, and then we'll answer the questions at the end or have a discussion at the end. So Ed Stevens is going to be a good resource for moderating the chat and the webinar. Then we have Jim Tamo. He's the president at Visioneer. So he's going to talk about their scanners that are compatible with P3iD ScanBot. There's a lot of innovation there, so look forward to Jim's talk in a few minutes here. And then I think we also do have Joe Bedelli, who's the Chief Revenue Officer at Docsumo, and then also Greg Parrish, Account Manager at Docsumo. So there's a lot of experience on the call today, so definitely take advantage of these fantastic resources. Okay, so now that that's there, and I'll let these guys introduce themselves in a second, but let me just start with my introduction. So I've been focused on network scanning since kind of the invention, maybe 20 years ago, that long. So I've been focused on that in my career, and then actually I built a company that's kind of focused exclusively on the network scanning interface. I believe that every device will be an IoT device. It will be IP-based. It will be connected to a network. So document scanners, a lot of them use USB interfaces still, yes, but 5G, Ethernet, Wi-Fi will be the future. So they'll have IP addresses, and you need to manage them and integrate with them as IP devices. And I'm very comfortable with this because I'm a previous network administrator, IT person. So I love connecting things that are hard to connect, and connecting stuff over the internet, and connecting things on different kinds of networks and making sure security works. So it's just kind of a passion for me. And I love doing that in my career. And I'm kind of known as a cloud innovator. Our company, because of my personal interest in cloud solutions and network devices, just like I mentioned, so our company is very focused on this kind of these kind of solutions. So obviously they need to be very secure. So we focus on adding security stuff to these IP-based document scanners. And just something personal about myself, I'm an animal lover, and I've got 3 cats, 2 dogs, and a collection of fish. So that's a little bit about myself. So let's go ahead and kick off a poll here to start this, because I want to understand where everybody's coming from here. So where's everybody from? From the California? From other states other than California? Canada, Mexico, Europe, or other? Let's get a little poll going here. Okay, let's give it a second here. Okay, so let's end this. Share the results. Everybody can share that, see that? Okay, so we got a lot of people from California, 32%, outside of California, 40%, still in the United States. Then we have 6 people from Canada, so we love our friends, and then 1 from other. So we've got a very international kind of audience today. All right, so now that we've done that, so I just want to make a general statement about the industry itself. So obviously we have kind of like this document scanning and document capture and content management. It's been around for a long time, and it's a very good way for people to um, to provide business efficiency. But it's been connected via USB scanners traditionally, so that's great. So what you do is you go get a computer. Traditionally, it's a Windows desktop computer. You install the operating system. It's a Windows 10 system. You get the Windows updates. You connect it via USB cable. Now it's connected. You install the scanner driver, get the IT department involved. They install the scanner driver. It's usually a Twain driver, ISIS driver, VRS driver. You install some capture software. You install some business software maybe, and then maybe if you're lucky, maybe a day later, maybe a week later, you get your scanning PC set up the right way with all the settings and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that this doesn't work. I'm just saying, this is kind of traditional behind the firewall kind of way. So what P3 is focused on is the new kind of connectivity, as I mentioned previously, with Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or 5G kind of wireless technology. So what we're focused on is the new kind of connectivity. So Xerox Scanners and Visioneer have worked hard to put basically the Twain Direct technology inside of their firmware. So now you don't need to install that. You don't need to have a PC at all. You don't need to install the scanner driver. You don't need to install the capture software. So what does that mean is that it's just seamlessly works from the application to the document scanner. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So in general, this is kind of just a mega trend in the industry and what's happening as far as connecting different devices in this new kind of connected world, and IP-based document scanners and printers and all kinds of devices. So why shouldn't document scanning be the same way? So this, regardless of our technologies, this is kind of just like a general industry trend that's happening in the industry. So I wanted to say that. And now let's turn it over to Mr. Jim Tamo over at Visioneer, and he's got a presentation on some of his scanners.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So yeah, you can just dive right into it. Go to the next slide. Introducing Visioneer. For those of you on the line, probably everyone knows who Visioneer is. We're the maker of Visioneer branded hardware, software, and we have a licensing agreement with Xerox to make Xerox branded single function scanners. That'd be USB scanners, scanners with Twain Direct, as we're discussing today, and network connected scanners from mobile to production. So, we've sold over 15 million scanners worldwide. We're the exclusive trademark holder for single function scanners with Xerox. And we design, manufacture, sell, market, service, and support. And these are some of the software solutions that we bring to market with our hardware products. That would be our One-Touch technology. We were the inventors of One-Touch from a scanner. And now we're the inventors of no touching the scanner, I suppose. Visioneer Acuity, that's our image cleanup software. Visioneer Capture SE, that's what we bundle in all our products, but it's mainly, most importantly, used with our production scanners, as that's our indexing and software. And Organizer AI, document some basic classification there. Our Twain Driver Plus, that's the Twain driver that it connects to USB connected application to the scanner that provides more than just a Twain connection, but more features as well. And then as the theme of this presentation today are native Twain Direct scanners. Go ahead and flip to the next slide. So this is why we're all here, right? This digital transformation market is a mega market. It's $1.7 trillion, dollars, give or take. Still lots of customers needing to migrate to digital transformation, including paper and including their devices, whether that's an MFP or a scanner. I would say that this is independent data provided to Visioneer, and the trends are that MFPs are growing as far as the front end capture. However, single function document scanners are still the main driver for inputting paper into digital transformation. Next slide. We've won many awards. We're widely recognized for quality products and quality service, from mobile products to production, and won many awards, too many to mention over the years. And these are some of our latest awards. Next slide, please, Kevin. And then here's a view of our product portfolio with just the Xerox brand. So we do have Visioneer branded scanners, and we have Xerox branded scanners. Today, we talk about our Xerox branded scanner line because the scanners that we are bringing to market with Twain Direct first are Xerox branded. And that would be the D70N, the W130N, and the N60W, or excuse me, yeah, the N60W. And then soon we'll have releasing in Q1. On the left-hand side there, you see the D35, the smaller footprint. By the end of Q1, we'll have a D35 launched, also with Twain Direct, giving us a good portfolio from small footprint to production class products. Next slide, Kevin. Here's a closer look at the W130N. I pause on this slide because it is our flagship product. It has features that customers are looking for example, a 500 sheet ADF feeder, Ethernet connectivity. We include an imprinter, so you don't have to wonder if you need an imprinter, or if you're a reseller, you don't have to try and second guess the application if you're going to put an imprinter in, or sometimes in production, customers don't know themselves, and then after a few months they decide, oh yeah, we really did need that imprinter. So that's a value add. We don't charge extra for it. We put it in our competitive pricing to include the imprinter, and as well as other great paper handling features that you would expect from world-class production scanner. We do include 3-year warranty support. Extended support is available. And of course, cleaning supplies, maintenance, and priority call support, along with customer success manager to help you implement and deploy. Next slide. Oh yes, there we got the rotating image. Thanks, Kevin. So we address all the vertical markets. These are the main vertical markets. The main takeaway here is that at Visioneer, we've been working awfully hard to get partners more opportunities for our products. For example, we're growing our certification list. That would be a list of certified and compatible software partners that we work with. So if you are talking to a customer and you're a reseller, or if you're a customer and you're looking to find a scanner that works and integrates well with your software application, Visioneer is hard at work in recruiting software vendors to certify or give us a compatible status with their software applications. And there you go. And I think that's it from us. That's our Visioneer updates, and that's what we wanted to share with you today, and really hand it over to the meat on the bone, so to speak. Here is Kevin's presentation and Joe's presentation from Docsumo.
Thanks, Jim. Excellent. Yeah, and just to add some color to what Jim said, they're really beefing up their ISV software focus, and this is really great. And P3 is also an ISV that wants to work with other ISVs. So we're not, it's not one off. It's 1 + 1 + 1 equals 5, right? So the sum of the whole is better than the sum of the parts. So we're, on this webinar, for example, we're talking about Xerox hardware with Visioneer software, with Docsumo software, and P3iD software. So there's 3 software companies that are actually working on this solution. So we encourage building more of an ecosystem. So that's a really important point, Jim. So thanks for mentioning that. Okay, so let's get into, so as Jim said, and I said, we've Visioneer and Xerox have come out with this line of scanners that have Twain Direct technology inside of the firmware. So what does that mean? So now there needs to be software that's compatible with those network interfaces, like the Ethernet, with the Ethernet port. So what P3iD has done is invent this product called ScanBot. And I'll go through a little bit of the features of ScanBot, but then we'll leave most of the time for the live demo. I'll actually go through the steps of taking a scanner out of the box, the whole experience, getting it connected, scanning into Docsumo. So I could show you this advanced workflow that we could set it up in just minutes. But some of the highlights of ScanBot are portability. So there's no limited IT staff needed. You're not beholden to one kind of environment. It's also available to any kind of browser-based scanning. So any device that has a browser, including Citrix and VDI and all these kind of other kind of obscure kind of operating systems and networks that usually we just kind of discount. We can't scan on those. Now you can. There's extreme time to value, high security and efficiency. So I'll walk through a few of these just in the next few minutes specifically. So let's take a look at the solution first. So as Jim mentioned, they've got a couple models that have the TwainDirect technology inside. So he mentioned the D70N. So that's a little like desktop scanner. It's a 70 page per minute scanner. Could hold 50 sheets, I believe. And it's got the TwainDirect technology directly in it. They also do have the production version that Jim just highlighted, the W130. Also has TwainDirect inside of the hardware. And then they also have the N60W, so they have a touchscreen interface. So kind of whatever use case you have, if you have lower volume distributed scanning, D70N, if you have production scanning, W130, then if you want a touchscreen experience, then N60. So it kind of fits all the models. And the point is that ScanBot can connect to these using the Ethernet interface. So, and then also there is a way that you can connect to USB scanners. Visioneer or Xerox supported USB scanners with their software utility, which is called Visioneer Network Scan Service. So basically their whole portfolio can be supported by ScanBot. Obviously a hardware integration, as I'll demo, is the performance is a little bit better. The response time is quicker. There's additional, I think, image processing in the chip. So the performance is a little bit better, stability and stuff. So that's the whole intent of putting the TwainDirect inside of the hardware, but please know that there's ways you can retrofit USB devices. So really the key selling point of ScanBot, as I'll show you, is register the scanner once. You just go to a web interface and register it. It's a very simple process. And you can train an end user to do it. It doesn't have to be an IT person. And then you select the scanner after it's registered, as I'll show you. You select the scanner you want to use, and then you scan an image, and then you can send it into a workflow, like send it to a backend, a processing system like Docsumo. So this is where the different companies fit. I just wanted to kind of outline this as a pictorial here. Okay, so the first thing that's super important that we did when we built this is that we didn't want to build it as a Windows system. That's too restrictive, and we didn't want to just have one cloud environment. So we built ScanBot to be multi-cloud. So you can run it in AWS. You could say, hey, I want to move it to Google. I want to move it to IBM, Azure. I want a mixture of it. I want to be multi-cloud, or I want to run my own cloud. I want to run it on-premise. So there's no right answer to this. I hear all kinds of different scenarios, but it's multi-cloud. It's a containerized application. So that's why you can put it anywhere. It can run anywhere on anything. It's built with some cloud concepts of auto scaling and load balancing. So when you get at capacity, maybe the CPU usage is a certain level or the memory's running out, it will automatically scale up another instance. So you're infinitely kind of scalable with this kind of solution, where kind of if it's a Windows-based solution, it's not architected the right way. You have to get IT involved to spin up another instance, and all of a sudden it causes a lot of problems. So once you start with ScanBot, you can just scale it automatically. So you don't have to get IT involved. So what this does is reduce vendor lock-in. If the vendors change, if Azure is offering a deal of the day for the next 3 years, you can go to Azure. You want to move back to IBM. So really, it's the freedom of choice. And that's the whole point of ScanBot. This is a big deal because things change over time, and they change very quickly in the cloud. So we give you freedom of choice. Okay. So that's the first thing. Next thing is that ScanBot is universally compatible. And what does this mean? Is that it's operating system agnostic. As I kind of said in the introduction, typically in the scanner industry, we've always just like 95% of what we do is Windows desktops, installing the Windows driver, and that's cool. And that's probably 50% of the market. But there's other operating systems out there. There's Linux operating system, there's Mac operating system, there's versions of Linux like Red Hat and Ubuntu and SUSE and all this kind of stuff. So why don't you just, as a user, you might have these kind of different operating systems, but as a reseller or a dealer, you also can address these kind of people that have these different kinds of operating systems and devices. So all of a sudden, the universe expands to 100% of people that have web browsers. There's also networks such as Citrix and VMware and virtualized desktop infrastructure, PC over IP. Microsoft's coming out with Cloud PC. They stream the desktop from a server, and traditional USB connectivity is non-existent. It's not reliable. It's kind of a hack job doing Twain redirection kind of stuff. So why not just say, when you go into a customer or when you have an opportunity, or if you're an end user, if you decide to use any kind of these environments, just know, with Twain Direct and the ScanBot and the Visioneer scanners and the Xerox scanners, all you need is a network connection. You don't need any kind of operating system specific kind of drivers. Okay, so this drastically reduces IT support. This makes the user experience a lot better. It's built on open standards, and the Twain Direct technology is an open source protocol. Okay, so that opens up the opportunities tremendously. From the user experience, super duper simple. We made ScanBot very simple to use. So one-click scanning. Ed always likes to say, this is the happy path. Once you register the scanner, like I'll show you, we just have a profile set, and there's just a big button right here. It just says start session, start scanning. So the concept of making it easy for the users. We also have the concept of lockdown profiles. So in the case that you want a profile that's always going to a certain destination, always has a certain scanner settings, there's no risk of it accidentally sending it to the wrong email or sending it to the wrong folder or the wrong application. So you could lock down. You could easily set up profiles, and user only uses those profiles. And then what does this mean from a business perspective? And the business benefit is that the users can now get their job done more easily with scanners. As I mentioned, I used to do IT support, and so many of the calls were about printer driver problems and scanner driver problems. And guess what? The user gets super duper frustrated. They say, I ain't going to use that device ever again. And it's not the hardware, it's usually the connectivity, that something happened. There was a Windows update, or there was a USB conflict, something happens. It's kind of unexplainable at times, but it does happen. It happens a lot. And I think overall in the industry, there's a lot of money spent on diagnosing connectivity problems. So really, you give the user a great experience, and you get more efficiency out of the users. They like doing it. They benefit by getting their job done. And then hopefully they get a job promotion because they got their job done. They're doing additional stuff. The company can see value. So really, this is kind of a feel-good thing, but I've seen this happen. And I love it that people can get job promotions because they get their job done better because they have better technology tools. Okay, ScanBot is also integrated. So again, this is built as a cloud-first kind of system. So we really really focused heavily on useful APIs, their application programmer interfaces. So what that means is that you can integrate your application using APIs, and you can create your own interface and use only certain functionalities. So APIs are really important for web applications. And because it's a RESTful API, we've taken some of the Twain Direct API, we've added our own API. So now ISVs can create integrated experiences very quickly. We had an event a month or two ago in Florida called Twain Direct Developers Day, and there was a bunch of ISVs that created applications in literally one day. So we really proved out the concept that this can be done, and you could do rapid deployments. The days of spending 6 months on development and a year before you get any kind of value out of your system is over, right? With all these APIs and web services. We also, instead of setting up your own APIs, we host this. So literally you just get a developer account and you can start using it within minutes. So you can actually start creating an application. So those two factors of having the API and then hosting it is really important for integrated solutions. We also use a lot of standards like this thing called SAML 2.0. What it means is that it's a standard authentication method for single sign-on. So we've integrated a lot of standards into this. So you're not creating proprietary systems. You're using industry standards. So God forbid we go away, you could still support this with an industry standard. So we're not trying to lock you in at all. We're trying to give you freedom of choice. So what this means is the roadmap to the future. So you've got a solution now, but you also can leverage it in the future. So if your business processes change and you want to add QuickBooks integration, you want to add a Salesforce integration, then you just mash up some API, bam, it's done. So really rapid deployment, rapid integration. This is a really key feature of ScanBot. So with that said, I want to kind of talk about a use case. And this is the idea. There's a lot of homegrown software applications out there that are really good. They focus on a particular niche. It might be accounting, it might be ERP, it might be, this is for a law firm, this is for whatever. There's a lot of like homegrown applications. There's probably millions of them in the universe that can use the ability to bring in an image into the application without going to a separate capture application or going to the inbox software and scanning it to a folder, then going to your application, browse and upload. Why not just scan directly? You're in a police file, for example, and you want to bring in, a ticket or some kind of ID into this police report, but you're already in that experience. So with the ScanBot API, you can actually just take some code, just basically copy and paste it. And you could put a little scan button inside of your own application to bring in images and do things like you're going to see with Docsumo, extract the data and then put it in your system. So we think that's the future. We think that these big, heavy kind of capture systems, that's kind of part of the business process, but you go through them, you scan, then you release. That's one way of doing things, but why not embed the scan experience inside your own application? So Bill, he's a software developer. He goes out, he's browsing the web. He finds the ScanBot API. He registers a developer account. He gets API keys. He uses the hosted API, and he creates an experience in his application. So this is what we feel is the use case of the future. So if there's ISVs out there that want to integrate this technology, that's the point. Okay, and then the last kind of product feature, and then we'll actually get into the demo, and I think that's going to be the highlight of today, is that security for us is not a checkbox. This is super duper important. The traditional applications that were behind the corporate firewall, right? You connected via USB cable and stuff, but you didn't have to authenticate because it was, behind a locked door in the office. There was people to watch it, but with a cloud service, it's got to be secure, and it can't be just average security. So P3 has added a lot of things like Active Directory integration, LDAP integration, single sign-on. We've added biometric authentication as a second or third form of authentication. I'll show you that in a minute. So you can authenticate with username and password, and then your iris from your eye, your voice, your fingerprints. So multi-factor authentication is being enforced by a lot of applications now. So this is like optional, has been optional in the past, but it's going to be required in the future. We also have, and you'll see the screen prints, we have a secure erase capability. So you set up your security policy. Basically, as the images go through the workflow, it's written to temporary files, and then we erase it, but you can set it if you want to be like super duper compliant. After every scan, you can set up your policy to erase that temporary data, or erase weekly, or erase every time I get to 10 megabytes of storage. So basically you set your own secure erase. So that's one secure capability. We'll also have this document encryption technology. And what this means is that, as you can see in the picture, we could take one PDF image and we can scatter it amongst different storage systems, whether they be cloud storage, on-premise storage, or a mixture of. You could say 20% in Amazon, 40% in Google, and then the other 40% on-premise. So people have to decrypt those shards, decrypt the whole file, and put them together. And what does that mean from a business value is that even if you use commodity storage like Amazon S3, you can use them as your storage, but you're bringing your own encryption to their commodity storage. So you control the encryption policy for your scanned images, not them. So they basically can't snoop on your on your data. So that's a good way for you to use commodity storage, but your own encryption. And then something new that we're adding is the ability to use blockchain to hash the scanned images and provide things like document authenticity that you could say, this is an authentic document that has been scanned by this Xerox scanner and basically blockchain by P3iD. So you could say, these two images look exactly alike, but which one is the actual home title? You could say this one is because I checked it and it's got a big green check mark that this is authentic document. So you can see the security portfolio is very important for us. And it's not just one of these things, it's the whole combination together that's integrated into our solution. Okay, and then as a summary, and then I'll do the live demo, is ScanBot has excellent time to value. I'm going to show you the web registration in a second here. But what Visioneer has done is offer a very consistent experience to register their scanners. I've been working with the D7DN for a long time, so I'm familiar with the web interface. But I hadn't been working with the W130 because it's a big scanner, and I don't have space in my office, and I don't have a need to scan 130 pages per minute yet. But when we went to Developers Day, I had the same exact experience. When I logged on to the W130 IP address, it was the same exact experience. So I knew exactly to go here, and register the scanner. So I think, I can't speak for Jim, but as they introduce more models, I suspect that same kind of experience for all the different models will be the same. So it's easy I didn't have any learning curve, even as to learn a specific model. And then from a P3iD perspective, limited training. So as I kind of said in my introduction, getting a USB attached system, it's kind of been a nightmare. I've been in this industry a long time, and usually getting these things set up, the business has to work with the IT and the users and getting all these people coordinated on a schedule and getting the PCs either, retrofitted and getting time for them to remote desktop and put it together isn't an easy task. So really limited training to use the system after it's registered is a super duper highlight. So that said, I said a bunch of stuff. So let me just check if there's any kind of chat here. Yeah, from a security perspective, I do want to mention one. There's quite a few features of the Xerox scanners. There's document encryption. But there's a way that you can add the image encryption directly from the hardware itself. So it means that you don't have to scan the image, send it to a cloud service, and the cloud service is doing the encryption. They also have the ability to do digital signatures from the scanners. So they've added, in addition to what P3 offers, they've also added stuff in hardware that's unique to them, and that's very valuable to the overall solution. And I'll show you the interfaces right now. Okay, quick time check. Okay, so let's do a demo. So this is what you're going to see here. So let me go out to our system. Okay, so first of all, the scanner, the web interface. So as I mentioned, it's a very simple interface. Let me just log out here. So you just go to the IP address or the host name of the scanner. In this case, it's this IP address on my local network. And you can see it's a simple kind of thing. You just log in here. There's a default password. You can change that to your own password, as I've done. So you can see some basic information. Here's the model of the scanners, there's serial number, firmware version. Here's the number of scans. You can reset all the counters. Here's the IP address. Here's a MAC address. So there's some basic information here. For the purpose of today, we're just going to use this vast network, and then we're going to register it to a cloud service. So you can see this is what we'll do, the registration. This is a one-time process. And since I just mentioned security, I'll show that since we're in here. So Visioneer and Xerox Scanners offered this default signature that says this is authentic, scanner on the network. You can add your own encryption file here. So that's what we would recommend. You create an encryption file, you upload it. So the scanner is sending this digital signature back to your service. You can also password encrypt the files, or add an encryption key. So if you want to add your encryption key, then you just put that here. So you could see you could do all this through the web interface. For now, let's go ahead and do this. This is a cloud server I'm going to register it with. And you can see I've got 3 scanners registered, but I'll register the scanner. So all you do is just do this. You put in the URL. I should mention that Visioneer has our own cloud system called VAST. You can register the scanners and do development and testing with VAST. I'll name it something that we can recognize, Xerox D70N for P3iD webinar, just so that's unique. Press the register button and then log in. And what it's going to do is going to take you to this one-time registration. So I say, I'm going to register this with ScanBot. I have a ScanBot account here. So this is a one-time process. So I never need this again. So you can see P3iD D70N, P3iD webinar. So it's registered. I could log out here and I never need this interface unless I want to go in and change something or add something. So now let's take a look at the application itself. So we have this URL capture.p3id tech. And you can see it's asking me for my second form of identity here. So I can't get to the application unless I do a second form. I use the username and password, but now let me use my second form. I press this button and you can see my hands are not on the keyboard. So it sent a little notification to my phone. It's asking me to do the second form of authentication with my face. So it's taken my facial recognition. You can see it now, it's authenticated to this to ScanBot. So I don't need that anymore. So I've done the easy second form of authentication. And now you can see what the ScanBot interface looks like. I got 3 scanners registered. I got this scanner, and this scanner. Actually, happens to be the same one, but this is the one I just registered, Xerox D70N's P3iD webinar. So if I want to use this one. So I just click this. So now it's showing that the scanner is idle here, the scanner status. So I'm going to show a few extra clicks just to show you the capability. So here's report the number of scans. I haven't used this one. Here's a history here. So all I do is just start session, demo, webinar, start that. This is an optional session ID. Okay, now the scanner is reserved for me. Nobody else can use it. And I just press start scanning. So even though this scanner is only 2 feet from me in my office here, it's making a scan request up to the cloud. It instantly responds, and it brought in this document. So here is the image I brought in. So you can see how quickly it brought it over. This is a full color 300 DPI image. So it brought this image over. And I can preview it in the browser, and I can zoom in, zoom out, do those kind of things. I could do annotation. It's got all the scanner settings. So now what I do as part of the integration, as part of the demo to make it simple, okay, now I got this image, I've quality controlled it, and I want to send it to Docsumo. So I just press this button. It's now querying the Docsumo document types. So I got all the big long list of document types they support. It can do auto classification, or you can pick the actual document type that you want to process. In this case, I'll do an invoice. So I pick the document type, communicate to that system, and then upload. And now it's uploaded to the Docsumo system. With that, I want to either turn it over to Joe or to Greg if you guys want to talk about Docsumo or show anything about your application here. Joe or Greg will have to unmute.
I got to take care of it. Thanks, Kevin. Yes, Docsumo's been around since 2019. It's the latest in AI, machine learning, also with our NLP, natural language processing technology. Both Greg and I have been in data capture for many years, me a little longer, back to the 90s. And what's different in today's data capture market is price points come down. Technology has improved and they expanded. Yes, legal legal, but more so we're seeing interest down into property management, distributed interest in the mortgage banking and lenders and underwriters that are still, by the way, still manually entering data on a spreadsheet. So we reached out to P3iD and along with the Twain direct support of the Visioneer Xerox scanner line, because a lot of the time, even with remote workers, there is a higher need for distributed scanners when we get to that part of the market. Also to mention, I mentioned pricing. Docsumo's came up with a growth package where we've actually can bring ability to extract data from unstructured documents for as little as $500 a month. So that broadens the use case. It opens up tremendous opportunities in this market with the challenge. This level of the market, the not going to understand how to set up drivers, connecting hardware. They're not going to go through certification to run back office equipment as the old way of doing forms processing work was. So you really need a no-code, low-code, very smart solution to get there. As you can see here, Docsumo is very easy. Most of the APIs are pre-trained. We still give ability for you to train your own, which is very easy. You just upload documents, you point and click to the areas you want to extract, and the system will start to learn. It comes with a verification window. Docsumo supports API usage. You can use it as a microservice. We have webhooks. You can embed our verification window, which you can see is not overly branded Docsumo. Actually, you don't even see it on here. So you can iframe it within your own process. Or large organizations from like National Debt Relief actually run all the processes within their Salesforce automation implementation. Others can do it on the front end. You can be up and running literally about 80% quicker than with the old way of doing things. Thanks, Kevin. Back to you.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, awesome. So let's launch a next poll here. Let's see. Let's go back here. This one's related to Visioneer and Xerox. So let's ask a question here. Your current document scanner connectivity, is it USB only? Is it SCSI? Is it network, Ethernet or Wi-Fi? Is it USB but transitioning to network? Not certain, or we don't care, as long as the thing works. Okay, got some good responses. Okay, good. Okay, good. I always give people an out here, so not certain or don't care, as long as it works. That's an answer too. Okay. All right, so let's give it another second here. Okay, so let's end this poll, and I'll share this result with everybody. So you can see 57% still on USB. That's certainly, makes sense. Everybody's transitioned off of SCSI finally. Still merging with network, 29%, and then don't care. I mean, to me, I'm the same way. Don't care as long as it works. So that's a good poll. And then the last one, last poll for today, document extraction. So let's launch this one because Joe just talked about it. This will be interesting data too. So as far as document extraction, we are fully automated. No, we do manual entry with human labor. No, we don't extract metadata. Maybe our business process says we don't have to extract it. We just want the image itself. Maybe it's, there's no data on there. I'm not sure or other. Okay, give a few more. This is very balanced. So a few more answers. Okay, so let's share this guy. Share that. Okay, so number one, we're tied. No, we don't extract meta. We only image only capture. Okay, 25%. Not sure, 25%, and others. So really, seems like this is the emerging opportunity here, Joe. So that's interesting data. All right, thanks to everybody for that. So let's so there's only a couple minutes left. So I just want to thank Jim and Joe for the explanation of their technologies and how it works with ScanBot. So I want to zoom out a little bit and give a bigger context. So with the Xerox scanners, we can capture the image. With ScanBot, we can preview the image in the browser like I showed. With Docsumo, we can extract the data, but then we have to put it somewhere. So this is an example of working kind of a simple workflow. And most of us on this call, this is very elementary, but you got to put it somewhere and you got to organize it so people can share it. So example is putting it in a content management system like Xerox DocuShare. So this is, to me, these are the three or four basic components to a workflow. So now you can offer a modern kind of web application, scan, capture, and store. If you like this kind of technology and you want to try it for yourself, we do have a microsite. It's visioneer.p3idtech.com, and we have something called the Technology Adoption Program, or you can book a live demo. So this is what the website looks like. You could just go here, and you can, technology adoption program means that you get access to all these technologies. Visioneer will send you a Xerox scanner. P3 will provision a ScanBot account for you, and Docsumo will provision an account for them. So just like you saw here, you can register the scanner, you can use ScanBot to scan, then you can use Docsumo to extract, and you can try it with your own documents with your own people. So all you have to do is just apply to the program. And then you just fill out this form. You say, I want the D70N scanner and I want the N60 scanner or W130. Just tell us a little bit about your application. If you want the biometric authentication kind of capability, if you want to try blockchain, just tell us, we'll get this form, we'll contact you and we'll kind of arrange this. So you fill out that form, that's super simple, easy. So this is to apply for technology adoption program. What we ask in return is that you give us feedback on the technologies, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to improve. We really want the feedback. So you have to allocate a business person and a technology person. We usually run these for a week, maybe two, depending on, the complexity of what you want to do with your workflows. But it should be pretty quick to do these. But if you put some skin in the game, we'll put some skin in the game. And you can actually try this again with your users, with your document types. So it's a really great program to try this. If you're not ready to do a technology adoption program, you can just come here and book a live demo, and we can do a private demo for you instead of like on a public webinar like this. So we can, go through the whole process. You can ask your questions in private. So just go book on this calendar and do that. So these are two great resources that you can use to engage us. Now, of course, we're also available via phone and email. So our phone, you can see 408-785-2005. That's to contact P3iD. We have set up a dedicated email address of visioneer@p3idtech.com. So it goes into our round robin emails. So somebody will respond to you if you have questions, comments, whatever it might be. So a dedicated email address. I just did show that microsite. So there's additional information on there if you want information about more of the solutions that we're talking about. And then, of course, Xerox Scanners. There's information on their scanners on xeroxscanners.com, or Visioneer. Visioneer's got information about their vast network and their scanners on their website. And then Docsumo's address is there, docsumo.com. So with that, I want to thank everybody, and I want to now open it up for any kind of comments, questions, for the group. We have a few minutes here.
Does anyone in the group feel like that there's an immediate opportunity that we can take advantage of or a customer in mind?
I know there is, Jim. I know there is.
I do.
Yeah. Well, so Jim, I'll answer that question. So we do. So this kind of, so I'm fortunate enough to attend different conferences as part of my role as the Twain Working Group Marketing Chair. So I went to the Capture Conference in the beginning of September. It was hosted by InfoSource. And guess what I heard at the Capture Conference was thin client scanning. That's the only thing I want. I don't even want to talk about a desktop. So thin client scanning and web scanning and browser scanning and hosted services the day has come finally, right? It's still early innings. It's still like early days, but now people say, what, I can build my own application, or it shouldn't be $500,000 to get a capture system set up, So there's big Federal Reserve banks, and there's big mortgage companies, and there's big all kinds of retail industries and healthcare industries. There's all kinds of people that are saying, this is how scanning and capture should have been. Not how it is today. But you got to think creatively, right? And that's how these people are deploying these kind of new digital transformation workflows. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but with the pandemic, it forced companies into kind of, okay, we got to scramble and get some all-in-one machines and copy machines, printer machines for people working remotely. And there was kind of this scramble to get this stuff set up, taking risks on security was an acceptable risk because they still had to do business. But now the reality of still working hybrid is still going to be a real thing in the future. Now people are going back and reassessing their IT networks, and they say, oh, you know what? That all-in-one printer, it doesn't have encryption on the chip. It's not integrated nicely. It doesn't have authentication, right? We were using the person's home PC that was used for shopping and kids' games, and it's maybe infested with malware and viruses. But that was an acceptable risk to keep the business going. But now IT goes back and says, hey, you know what? We've got to fix these problems. So there'll probably be this wave of, now we've got to have chain of custody, for example. The scanning application, you need to authenticate to the application that's authenticated to the cloud service. And the second I scan, I know who did it, from what device, at what time. It's only an authorized device because it has that scanner, encryption. It has the authenticity of the scanner itself. MAC address has to be adhered to. It's got to be whitelisted. So that's what IT is doing now. They're saying, all these like cheapo systems was just good enough. Now I've got to fix it. So when you ask that question to the audience, I would think that, they're probably, if you go looking for it or you ask the right questions, you're going to uncover these things. And that was a long story to say at Capture, it's kind of validating the assumptions that we've had for a long time, that people do want browser-based scanning. They do want zero footprint, driverless kind of scanning and capture solutions. So we're definitely seeing it, and I hope everybody else would see it. So, I know we're at the hour now, so let me just check the chat one more time. If you do want these materials, this is being recorded. We will send everybody the recording. If you want the slide deck, we're happy to send that to you. You do have the contact information on the thing. I do encourage you to reach out to Jim and the Visioneer folks, reach out to Joe and the Docsumo folks, and I definitely look forward to working with everybody. So with that, I'm going to wrap this webinar and thank everybody for their attendance and your attention, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.